Hurricane Laura made landfall as a Category 4 storm, ravaging through the southern states of the U.S. Now, thousands of homes in Texas and Louisiana are submerged in water, and many others are severely damaged. Hundreds of thousands of people were ordered to evacuate, but not everyone did.
I stayed, we have several pets and everything, and I stayed with the cats and dogs. It was wild. Around 1 or so, the wind picked up, and I could hear the neighbor's roof blew off the side of the house, and blew into my house.
President Trump says he's planning to visit the affected Gulf Coast, though not immediately.
I was going to Texas, I was going to Louisiana, maybe Arkansas. Looks like Arkansas. I just spoke to the governor. It's going to be in pretty good shape, but they'll need some help. But now it turned out we got a little bit lucky. It was very big, it was very powerful, but it passed quickly. And so everything's on schedule. We'll probably be going on Saturday or Sunday.
Mr. President, I just would encourage people to keep the people of Louisiana and Texas and now Arkansas, where you've signed an emergency declaration as the tropical storm moves north. Keep them in your prayers, but also keep in mind organizations like Red Cross that are also on the ground, that are providing assistance and support to all of the efforts for families.
Forecasters have warned of a continued risk to lives as the storm moves inland, deeper into Louisiana, though it has now considerably weakened. A chemical fire in the Lake Charles area of Louisiana has broken out. Emergency crews are tackling it, and the governor has warned residents in the area to shelter. The Federal Emergency Management Agency says resources are in place to help restore services to affected areas in the weeks and months ahead.
Matthew Capucci, meteorologist for The Washington Post in Port Arthur, Texas, joins us now. Matthew, thank you for being with us. Hurricane Laura was predicted to hit somewhere between Houston and New Orleans and bring with it unsurvivable storm surges. Just how bad was it?
You know, we had some good news and some bad news with the storm. It looks like the storm surge may not have been quite as bad as originally anticipated. Some areas did report about a 3 to 4 meter increase in water level associated with the surge. So that is pretty bad news. But the good aspect of this was that wasn't quite as bad as the 6 to 7 meter storm surge we were anticipating. At the same time, winds gusted upwards of 210 kilometers per hour in spots. That caused widespread devastation, and that penetrated farther inland than originally anticipated. So the windstorm aspect of it was much worse than we thought it would be. In fact, like a 16-kilometer wide path of total devastation from this eye wall that came ashore resulted in significant damage across much of the area, and we saw some really significant structural issues as well.
And how does this compare to other hurricanes you've seen in the past?
You know, to be honest, this is one of the most memorable windstorm events that I've seen. The entire eye wall was like a 60-kilometer wide tornado with winds gusting upwards of 210 kilometers per hour. I was driving down Interstate 10 westbound, and there was just tree after tree after tree down. In fact, it was pretty much impassable unless you went to the far left lane, and tractor trailers were toppled on their sides along the interstate. And one thing that really struck me was the magnitude of the wind damage in very narrow swaths. I saw mobile homes that were completely obliterated, demolished by the heavy winds. I saw gas station canopies that were lofted and thrown, vehicles that were perhaps moved or tipped over in the form of those 18-wheelers and the higher profile vehicles, and in addition, extensive roof damage as well. And one of the things that struck me the most, there was a steel truss building, an outbuilding of some sort that looked to be an industrial complex that was completely leveled, collapsed by the winds. And these winds at this point were only about 160 to 170 kilometers per hour. So the fact they were able to accomplish these feats really tells you a lot about how long the wind stuck around, up to 3 hours at times, and just how widespread they were.
But the hurricane has now been downgraded in category. Does that mean the worst is over?
For the most part, yes. The good news is that because it's far enough inland, we don't have to worry about any coastal surge anymore. And I always tell folks, run from the water, hide from the wind. The water right now, not a big threat because it's so far inland, but the wind still impressive in many areas, gusting around 90 or 100 kilometers per hour, as far north as the Arklatex or even the Tennessee Valley. And there are some weather models that indicate the propensity for this storm to actually track with a little bit of a wind signature all the way to the East Coast. So gusty winds likely in Tennessee and Ohio valleys in the coming days. And then the chance this storm can actually become reinvigorated off the East Coast and form into a tropical storm once again sometime in the Saturday into early Sunday timeframe.
Now, so far in this hurricane season, there have been already been three ferocious hurricanes. Why is the current season so active? I mean, this started in June.
Exactly. On average, we typically see us reach the L or the M names, and we've already reached the M names, but we're talking for an entire season. So we've seen a season's worth of hurricanes so far in just 2020. We're about 200% more active than normal in terms of the amount of energy output by the oceans. And one thing that concerns me, even though we just had these two storms roll through, the Atlantic is still well above average in terms of water temperatures, with many areas around 32 or 33 degrees, and that is just a powder keg in terms of the atmosphere. To get another thing I'm seeing right now, a convectively coupled Kelvin wave, basically a big area of rising motion over the Atlantic, and that will favor an increased development chance of storms in the coming weeks. And it looks to pedal back mid to late September, early October, but then in the middle to latter portions of October, likely to rage again. So several additional peaks within this hurricane season of enhanced activity and increased likelihood of storms. But it looks like this season is just ripe for development, and that does not look to slow down anytime soon.
Okay, comprehensive insight there. Matthew Capucci, thank you.
Thank you.